Hi there. So today I'm going to do some sound design, and for techno, a lot of sounds are FM synth based. Now, fortunately, Ableton has a good built-in FM synthesizer called Operator, and the thing I'm going to do today is just create a bunch of sounds, drums, and some other stuff with Operator, and see what that gets us. And this is something I like to do. I'm a little bit of a sound design nerd. I like to try if I can make a kick with any synth. Basically, if there's some sort of pitch envelope, then you can do that, which is also the case in Operator. So let's just start with a simple 4 to the floor pattern. Choose some low notes. It doesn't really matter because we can also scale down the oscillator, but something like this. That's already a nice sub frequency. Now there's a pitch envelope here. Let's activate it. We're going to play with the amount. We're going to play with this parameter. There's attack, there's decay, and this one, initial. The amount of steps. Let's just mess around with this a little bit and see what we get. Yeah, so a shorter decay. This is typical falling tube sound, and if you speed it up enough, it'll sound like a kick drum. That's already sounding like a kick drum. And now we can change the timbre a little bit. We can change the curve here. We can change the pitch envelope amount. We can change the initial value here. And also the peak value. That's that one. Let's put that back to where it was, so that doesn't improve things. Let's see. Slope. Let's go back to what this was. That's better. Maybe this is as good as it gets. Let's give this a little bit of decay, release, I mean. Now it has a long tail. Let's go for a happy medium. Relatively short kick. One thing we can do is just resample this. That'll also allow us to have a look at the waveform, see what that's like. So. Let's look at the audio clip. And now this is something we can play with a little bit. If I stop this, maybe I want to give it a little bit shorter. So the body of the kick here, this area, maybe I want to make it a little bit shorter. I could do that by, instead of using release, putting the decay, the sustain level to 0 and working with the decay, or I just could shorten the notes. Let's see what that gets us. So this is with 16th length notes, and now they're shortened. Does that even make a difference? This does. It may not because they're already shorter than the release time. So we could do this. Set sustain to 0 and play with the decay time. So that, I think that's different from the other one. Let's see. Definitely sounds shorter. Yeah. So I gave this 15 decibel extra. This as well. Make it the same level. You can see a big difference here. So which one sounds better? This is very short. That's very long. Somewhere in between. Okay. Of course, there's no harm in having several versions. If I press Command and drag, it'll give me slower, sort of smaller steps, changing the parameter. So obviously that's long. Let's try this one. Okay, 15 decibels louder. That's sort of a happy medium between this and this. Okay, so let's go with that one. Let's just move on to the next sound. Go to make another audio clip to resample, have that ready, arm it. Okay, and now for a bass. So let's get rid of the pitch mod. Let's make sure the pitch is the same. Because of the pitch modulation, the actual perceived pitch of the tail of the kick drum might be lower because or higher or different. It can't be lower really, but it'll likely sound a little bit higher pitched than the actual value it's ending. If that makes any sense. Let's just go by ear. That's always the best way, I think, to do it. So this is purely a sine wave. We can add a little bit of harmonics here, a little bit of harmonics. Okay, we already have a nice short decay, relatively short. Let's also give it a little bit of attack time. Shorten this. Let's see how that sounds together with a kick. Okay, but it's not very ambitious. Let's see if we can do, well, I'll resample this and I'll see if I can do something more interesting with it afterwards. Again, make this a fair amount louder. Very clean sounding kick and sub. We can always add some distortion and stuff like that. Here I'm focused on the synthesis part. See if we can make a slightly more interesting loop here. Just by changing the pitches. Let's turn on the channel volume. That's like I said, actually it's slightly more interesting. 4 different notes instead of 1. What I like about this, it adds some movement. Okay, so let's resample that one. Again, up the volume. Let's go with this. So we have a kick, a sub. What's next? Some sort of bass stab. Some so FM sounds, they can excel at these sort of FM synths can excel at metallic sounding stuff, weird harmonics that you don't get from an analog synth. That's really what we're after here. This kick and bass I could have done with an analog synth as well, like Silent One or Diva or something, or analog in operator, although I'm not a big fan of the sound of that. So let's go for something that's typical FM. Yeah, let's go for a little bit higher pitch. Some sort of metallic percussive sort of thing. Right now it sounds quite dull, but we have 4 operators which you can mix and match in different ways, and envelopes to shape the operator. The tuning, of course, you get all these harsh metallic sounding things. Also the fine tuning. actually this sort of knocking, clicking sound. Let's just resample that. Could come in handy. It's a little percussive element. Oh, I created a MIDI track. I meant to create an audio track. Command T, resampling as source. Okay, few bars. Let's make it 2. Another audio track. So this is one thing that I live by. I was trying to make a stab sound, stumbled upon something else. If you end up making stuff you didn't intend to make, it's a nice thing to notice. When you notice that, then just either just go with it or save the sound or sample it, resample it for later. This is what sometimes there are happy accidents. You don't want to miss out on those. Don't want to throw them away because you're in blind pursuit of something else. That would be a waste. So okay, so this is nice, but we're still going to try and make a stab sound. So let's try a different algorithm. So the colored squares here, they represent different algorithms. Maybe let's try this one. Changes the sound dramatically. Okay. Interesting. So the plucky sound. So what we have until now. Just a quick check, yeah. Do a little bit of high pass, a little bit on the clicky sound. What we could do is use this audio clip. It's an audio clip. Where is the MIDI clip? I think this was the... Did I throw away the MIDI clip? I guess I did. Or I changed it. Yeah, another good idea would have been to keep the MIDI clip where I drew in the different sub-bass notes, because I could have used that melody again. Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll try something else. Let's just mute a bunch of notes. See what that sounds like. Change the pitch. Sort of an interesting sound, maybe with some reverb. Starting to sound like a techno-y stab. Actually, maybe let's try some pitch envelope on this one as well. Maybe not as dramatic as the other one for the kick drum. Yeah. And what I'm gonna do with this, I'm gonna keep it. I'm not gonna resample it. Just for the idea being that I can change parameters like the pitch envelope, like the levels of certain operators to vary the sound later on. So I'll put this at the back. Command Shift T, new MIDI clip, new operator on there. Oh, unintentionally made an extra track. I thought that one selected, doesn't matter. Okay, so what else? We have a bass drum, a kick drum. We have a sub bass. We have a clicky sound. We have a stabby sound. Now let's try something like a hi-hat. Okay, so let's make a stereo white noise hi-hat. Why not? So we'll need a configuration or an algorithm of oscillators, operators that has two outputs. I was going to say I'm going to pen those left and right, but I'm not sure if I can actually pen them. I don't think the oscillators have individual pen. Okay, so I'm going to do something different. When I want to make stereo things, another way of doing that is just making a left and a right one. So Command G for rack, Option drag, duplicate the operator, pen hard left, pen hard right. Actually, let's delete this one and use that one and then copy it over. So select the first operator. Actually, we don't need the other ones. And here in the oscillator part, noise white. Okay. It's very loud and also very loud in one ear. Sorry about that. It's a bit annoying that pen is back in the middle. Yeah, draw in some more notes, of course. So now there are white noise bursts, but with some envelope shaping and maybe some filtering, we'll turn this into hi-hats. Yeah, filter. Let's try a high pass. Some resonance. So let's copy this one over to the other one, pen them hard left and right. Now we have a stereo hi-hat. We don't have to pen them hard left and right. We could go for 25. That's halfway each way. Now it's still stereo, but not as obviously panned to the two extremes. How does this sound? Okay, so resample this one, make it nice and loud, make our life easier. Go for 4 bars here. Sorry, that was my shoulder kicking. Okay, a little over 4 bars. Let's move this to the back of the cue. And now we have this. Okay, we're in a nice sort of percussive techno vibe. Let's do some more percussion. I'll just quickly delete this one, insert a new one that'll initialize it again. Actually, I'm going to make some white noise here again. Choose white noise. Turn off the EQ for now. So yeah, let's make a second hi-hat, a very short clicky hi-hat for 16th notes. I could have kept the other operator, but yeah, it's quick enough to do this from scratch. Let's see what this sounds like. Envelope. Okay. One thing I like to do, some random panning. That's one thing. Okay. Well, maybe a little bit lower pitched. Something like that. Let's put the audio track here. Do some resampling. Oh, one more thing. Let's get some random velocity. So we have an LFO here, which we can sync to 16th notes. That's fine, absolutely great. The amount, I don't know, 10%, something like that. And let's see if we can have velocity. I always forget how this works. The LFO needs to control velocity. Destination A, B, C, D. Are those velocities? I think they are. Let's turn off the recording. Doesn't seem to be doing a lot. I think it's pitch mod, those squares here. Yeah, because the oscillator volume A is this one. That's the sign. We need to do the sample and hold. So extreme, 100%, not what we want. Let's go more like 10, 15-ish. Okay, let's record a few bars of that. Okay. A little bit of low pass, high pass, sorry. Pitch it a little bit. And you can't change the pitch with an EQ of any sound except for noise, because you can introduce resonances into the noise and that'll basically tune it. Okay. So that is a little bit of percussive stuff. Now let's go for a pad sound. Also something that FM can be very good for. It is a very different flavor than analog. Let's change this back to a sine. Let's change the LFO to a triangle, set it to low. It's a little bit unfortunate that this rate parameter doesn't really tell you anything about how what the rate exactly is. Okay, I've activated the LFO on the B operator, which is modulating A. So that should change over time. Let us see. Turn off the filter. Make this not percussive but a pad sound, so give it a long attack, give it a release, sustain the maximum. You can hear the variation, doesn't sound particularly good, but that's the idea. It's a matter of playing with these operators. Let's try a different algorithm again. Let's go for one that has two outputs, like the bottom ones. For instance, in this only the yellow one outputs the sound, but in this one you can just see there's two outputs. That does mean I need to change. Well, I don't need to change the pitch mod here. Let's see what it does. Let's change the pitch mod to C. Interesting. You don't get these instantly appealing sounds. This is different way of different type of synthesis what we're doing here. Let's copy the envelope from envelope A, and let's turn A into a square wave, or yeah, square. Let's try that. Maybe lower the volume a little bit. So, like I said, not not instant gratification here. FM synthesis is really a different beast. Takes quite a bit of experimentation. Let's see what happens if we drown this in a nice reverb. Maybe follow it with a filter, sort of to get rid of the worst harshness, and maybe also as an extra modulation going on filter mod. Cut away a little bit of the low end here. Maybe a little bit more high cut, low cut, high pass. It screams. Interesting. See how that goes with the rest. See if it makes any sense. Not really. Let's try different pitches. Okay, let's add some modulation with a max for live MIDI LFO, max MIDI effects, LFO MIDI. And let's use that to vary the level on the final operator here, operator D. I'll set the depth to 0. So -4 is sort of a sweet spot, sort of okay sounding. It jumps to -20 when I assign it to the LFO, but with the offset I can go back to 4, -4. And now a low rate. Make that a triangle, sine or triangle, and just a little bit of depth, tiny little bit. Play with this a little bit. Turn it into a chord. Ooh, no. One note is enough, thank you. FM synthesis can be a little bit frustrating, where you feel like you're just pointing, just twisting knobs and nothing nice comes out. A little bit hit and miss. You know what, let's lose the LFO. Another thing that can work is different envelopes over time, so the sound evolves that way. So this modulating operator here, modulator, has a very slow attack, slower than this one and this one, so its effect will be heard later. Long release time perhaps. like the beep at the beginning. Actually, this is good enough. Maybe it's filtered down a little bit too aggressively. So what I'll do is I'll resample this, and I'll take the filter and the EQ to the other channel where I resample it. Let's just do that now. Move those over. Get rid of this. Don't need two EQs yet. Okay. It's not bad. Yeah. Resample. 4 bars. And let's do one extra. Okay, that has an annoying transition. So I want to do one extra because of the attack here. You see. Yeah. You know what? Let's get rid of the attack on the two operators here. Just starts when it starts. Interesting, this sounds like some pitch envelope going on, which isn't. It's this. Ah, this is what I was looking for. That's nice. You see, experimentation is rewarded. Takes some time. Also, let's move the reverb over as well. Just record the dry sound. Okay, so this obviously restarts, and not the best way for continuous pads, but if I wanted to make this longer, I could drop the audio into a simpler or into a sampler, and I would then loop it so it could run as long as I wanted to. So anyway, that sounds like this. Oops. Okay, so with the rest. And there's other stuff you can do to add some more movement. One of my favorite tricks, a little bit of auto pan, slow auto pan into the reverb. Something like that. It is a different pitch than the rest of the track. Of course, then the neat thing would be to change the note here and re-record it. I did the lazy thing, which was changing the transpose parameter here, but it sounds okay. Now it's in tune. So there we have it, a techno loop synthesized completely from operator sounds, FM sounds, which give you a lot of a very broad sonic palette of sounds to choose from. As you can see, it can be a little bit tricky to find the cool sounds with all the modulation possibilities. A lot of it will sound, well, either terrible or indifferent or not musical or not like what you're looking for. So there's a world of stuff to be explored here with FM synths, and it can be a little bit daunting, but you get rewarded if you play with it long enough. So I've definitely played with it long enough for now. So I'm going to leave it here. I got myself another nice loop, and I hope you got some useful information out of this. Try it yourself. I would recommend use Operator or use another FM synth like FM8 or whatever you can get your hands on. There are also free FM synths out there that do pretty much the same thing. So yeah, if you want to enjoy or at least check out some of my actual finished music, go to Bandcamp. I'll put a link in the description. For now, I'm just going to say thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.